Yo, hello, and welcome to podcast 22. I'm feeling. Can't sing the song or I'll get struck off YouTube. But you know, Taylor Swift did just come out with a new album, so. Anyways, guys, yeah. So now that I made another terrible joke, welcome to once more the Feeling Podcast, episode 22. I had on a couple buddies. Some new buddies, Zach Fineman and Mike J. Allen. And as you can see right behind me, unless you're listening to this and you can't, it's nighttime, and it's a different time than it is now because this is Rene editing the podcast talking to you. Yeah, found a couple of bugs that Zoom was doing, and I think I figured the workaround now, so we won't have that problem again. But there might be a little bit of weirdness with the audio, but it should sound pretty good, because I'm pretty good at fixing things. But it was a little funky. Got it fixed. Funky in a funky kind of funky way. Don't know what I'm saying anymore. It's late. I'm editing. I do this for you, even though I do it for me, but I also do it for you. So know that is a thing that I do. And enjoy episode 22. We had Zach Fineman on and Mike J. Allen. They're both super funny guys. They write shorts together. And we talk a little bit about those. The links to those are below, as always. Really creative guys, really funny guys, and a pleasure to have a conversation with. And I'm sure we will have another one soon. They were on a bit of a time crunch. So, yeah, we got in what we could in the hour that we had. But that was it was fun. It was fun. It was a quick one. A quickie but a goodie. So, anyways, I've talked way too long at this point. So, roll intro. Once more. Repeating. Dude, I love that you were like really harmonizing there, Zach. That was like you were really going for it.
Yeah, I was lip syncing to it. I took it to a whole other level.
Lip syncing? I would have never in a million years. They've really like upgraded their tech with that. Like I can't believe you were.
Yeah.
I would be able to keep up with it. Yeah, you know, like with the song is.
Time. I was just.
It was perfectly inside.
That deep voice was me, actually, that you were hearing. I was thinking that.
Wow.
Well,
wow.
Zach, you do a lot of beatboxing. I feel like on set, like anytime there's downtime, you'll just start. And that's like true. Not a joke. That sounds like a joke, but it's not.
No, it's.
Like,
I believe it. I believe it.
Laying down. Yeah.
If we've got free time, we're beatboxing.
That's
any improv game.
Yeah. Any dead air is just filled up by that. That and the what would you get cast as? Like too is another one of Zach's big games. Yeah,
we do that.
Yeah.
That one's fun.
That was I think that was a big icebreaker on set one time. What'd you say I was my casting type?
I mean, you could go a variety of ways, but I could see you playing like the jock. You know, you kind of got the build for like.
That was like a compliment. Like
I know,
but
like specifically, I remember him saying it was you don't play the main jock, you play the main jock's best friend.
Yeah,
who like is like, yeah, get him, Chet.
Yeah,
and like that's what
it's like. And
then the main guy's
the
main guy's like, quiet, Mike, I got this, and then you're like,
staring people down.
He backs up slowly, but also like, you know, does one of those like.
He's intimidating. Yeah.
But also second place alpha, yeah.
But it's also a compliment because if he's calling you a jock,
but in a good way.
Yeah, like you're also probably he's saying you look fit, man. He's like you look good. Yeah. That's what he's saying, you know.
Strong.
Yeah, you look strong.
Yeah, I feel like from the shoulders up. Yeah, I give a.
It's only mid shots. I don't know. I haven't seen you from below the chest, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, let's not ruin any preconceptions you have in my body right now.
We were just making jokes before we got you on. That we were saying that everybody always, like in the Zoom calls, there's always one guy who jokes about not wearing pants. So that's you right now. You're basically
right. No one here has a virtual background. There's always one of those people.
Yeah, man.
With like the kooky virtual background behind him.
I think I would just end the call. Like I would just be like, this we're not gonna do this podcast. Cassie, why'd you get these people on here?
Yeah.
I was just about to do that. I'm glad I didn't.
Oh yeah, that was a good warning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dip your toe in the water.
Yeah, Mike, cut the virtual background. Stop. Yeah.
Wait. It's on auto. I can't take it off.
Yeah. We'll stop.
Oh man. No, I caught your guys' both your guys' shorts that Cassie sent over. I thought those were pretty funny, man. I liked them. So Zach, you did the
Nice.
the headshots, right? The headshot one?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a funny one.
Yeah, that was fun. I sent Cassie that one because that was one that we were doing. I was doing a series with my buddy Kinner, who's a really funny guy, comedian, and I got Mike in on it to help direct, shoot it, do pretty much everything behind the scenes, and we got some fun ones out of that, right?
Yeah, it was like we had like a couple different days that we shot. We would do like 4 or 5 in a day, and I think that was I think that was the one that came out the best though out of all of them.
Yeah,
you were saying you like the dark humor of it. It was a little bit
right.
That was that one.
Yeah,
some of the other ones which kind of worked.
So do you guys usually like bank a bunch like that, or is that like how do you guys typically work together? Like I'm curious as to like how you guys collaborate, especially with this type of thing.
Well, it's interesting when Mike and I pretty much as soon as we met, we were just like, let's make some stuff. We both like making stuff. Yeah. And we were both pretty motivated just to like put stuff out there, make something happen. And when we were making these like little micro shoots, it was a lot of fun where we could just make like a quick minute-long story and then pump it out and then try something else.
Yeah.
And those ones were like specifically designed for like Instagram too. So they knew they were going to always be, they would never be more than a minute, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just kind of easier to bank them up like that and shoot them like, in different neighborhoods, like, or even literally in the same neighborhood, but like if you go around the street, like all of a sudden it's a new location. And
yeah, exactly.
Made it feel fresh.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun though.
That's cool.
It was fun, man. And, and we really started making stuff together. Before that, I was doing making demo reel scenes for actors.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so that was a really interesting experience. And I got to bring Mike in to help shoot it. And it was a perfect transition because it was like we were going from putting an actor kind of into any world that they would be fit for in terms of film and TV, and then just writing really interesting, compelling scenes that they could put on the reel.
Yeah.
So
that's a great way to like get actors to just like, jump in. You can vet them more or less before, because you're like basically going like, is this guy any good? I'm making his reel. Like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. Like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was super collaborative. It was like Mike and I were just on set coming up with ideas.
That's cool.
And then I kind of transitioned into like, let's make some weird sketches while we're at it.
Yeah, that like helped with the sketches too, because at that point we'd already developed like a shorthand working together where it's like you just kind of can say a sentence to each other or even like a couple words and you get the idea. Like I like about Zach too, because he also, like a lot of actors you work with, they don't actually like, I mean, a lot of them, the better ones, they know like the technical end a little bit, so it's a little bit easier to talk to them, like, oh, it's this going to be this kind of shot, so you like want to give this like level of performance, that kind of thing. Right. And Zach, because he has like a technical background as well, like he understands so easily like what you need out of a scene. Like sometimes you could almost like, will make eye contact when he's off screen, and then he'll come back into the shot and he'll give you you just knows what you want, which is like, it's almost like this like telekinetic link sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
90% of our communication is nonverbal. We just look at each other.
That's
we're
amazing.
saying a lot of things about you right now, actually.
I'm saying, dude, I don't know. I'm just having an internal monologue about you both, but it's okay. I have a lot of personalities up there, so who knows? Dude, no, man, like that's cool though. Like I love it when you find when you find somebody who just works so well with it, you just don't have to do that. Like I have people like that, like when I work like musically and stuff like that. I have some buddies that come through and like it's just, I know what you mean. It's like one of those things where like he's much better at certain parts of the musicality where like I'm better at different parts, and so like having them come through, it's like I know when to get out of the way. I know when to get out of this seat basically where I'm making the music, and I'm like, okay, I know he needs to come in and do some rhythm, and he needs a top line here. Okay, I'll do that. And so, and it's just funny like how I know what you mean by like just intuitively after a while when you work with somebody, because it's like he would just kind of fidget in his seat one way or the other. I'd be like, okay, yeah, he's out of ideas. Let me, tap out and but it's interesting to see how that works with these shorts and stuff, because it's just something that's like it's just such a different medium, but it's interesting what like translates over both, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny how it's a different medium, but that's so similar in some ways. It's like you find the people you work with well, and
Yeah.
that's what's cool, that it's like a team process. You can be like, okay, I'm probably not the best at this. Let me bring in Mike because he's really good at this, and then we can make something happen.
Yeah, and like shorts and sketches are kind of like within film. Like a short film is almost the closest thing to like a song that there is in a lot of ways. You know, it's that same time length. You know, and it like it's more about one feeling. You know how it's like an album's can be kind of like this. It's almost an album is more like a feature film.
Yeah.
But with like a short, it's more like a one song. It's like one specific feeling or idea. You know, and then that I don't know. There's something more about that. Like that's kind of interesting with the collaboration between us and how you can kind of just sit down and like bang it out almost in a way that's similar to music, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have to hear more about your music and what you're doing too, because that's our next project. We're working on a pilot that's kind of music oriented.
Oh, really? Nice.
Man.
Yeah. I was talking to this literally podcast right before this. I was talking to you guys might know him because it seems like everybody that Cassie brings on like was from Paramount or something, which is cool because my girlfriend is. Well, I don't know if you guys know Bella, but anyway.
Bella.
Yeah, so she was at
She's
Paramount.
the best, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I know Cassie, actually. It's through Bella. So Cassie is my headhunter, finds me fun people like you. But I know Cassie through. She's just so good at that. She's such a nice, sweet. Can't speak highly enough of her. But
she's just one of the most like connected people. Like she just always knows everybody. You go somewhere and like you walk into like back when bars were a thing or parties were a thing. And she'd be like, oh, I think I know that person and that person, and let me introduce you to so and so. And she's just so good at that.
Yeah, she's just so interpersonal, and I love it. And I've just been so solitary. And I was like, as I was switching into like interviewing people, I knew I was like, especially during a COVID time, I was like, if I don't get somebody to help me like headhunt, there's just no way.
Yeah,
it's been great so far because she finds fun people like you guys and people who are like able to like. I've had people on before where it's just like, it's it just kind of fizzles out, and like it's just I don't know. She's great, but gosh, Paramount. What was I talking about with that? I don't even remember. Who knows, man?
You're talking about Carter, I think. Were you talking about? Because you're saying he just started doing podcasts too, right?
Yeah, Andrew Carter. Yeah. So I was talking about because he was doing he has this thing coming out soon. He's pitching it to people, so I guess he can't really like he can't really show. It's not up or anything like that.
It's a little hush hush right now.
Yeah, I guess, but he's working on something where it's like he talked about it on the podcast, so I feel like we could talk about it. But it's like it's hopefully going to be a series, but it's about this guy and like he I don't want to give too much over away, but basically it's like it has to do with like rap, and basically at some point it's called Revenge Tour, and basically it's about this guy or whatever, and he has some issues, and then he gets it out through making music and stuff, and it was really interesting how much music was like a part of what he was doing, and so that was really interesting. He showed me on the DL, maybe you guys get the link if you message him, but it was cool. It was really cool. It was really well done, but I don't know. It's cool to see like music in stuff, and like I've worked with a couple different people. I worked with like Lonely Island before, so like they're like obviously that's what they do is like music and whatever. So in short videos and stuff, and so I mean I've always been a huge fan of them, so that was really fun. But what are you guys working on that involves a lot of music or whatever? I got way off the rails there for a second. I felt
that's what podcasts are all about. It's a conversation.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we let it flow.
Tangents are why people subscribe, dude. Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we prepared a song, Mike. Would you like to start?
And a 1 and a 2.
Perfect. No, that is a perfect transition because it's true. It's like music is such a big part of filmmaking in most capacities. And so the pilot we're making is built kind of around, Mike, maybe you can pitch the log line, but built around a streaming music company in this fictitious world.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun to learn about music as we've been going on, like popular music, everything from Mike and I recently watched that little Peep documentary that was so interesting.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot we're still learning, and it's really cool to see, to combine the two, because we use music for everything we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the most like emotionally attuned art form, where it just plugs right into like your heart, you know? Yeah. Like, the BPM of a song can like affect your heartbeat. That's like how exact it is.
Really? I didn't know that.
But yeah, sorry.
I just didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Like the
you're changing our little biology when we listen to your music, man.
Dang. All right, getting in the cellular. That's good. That's crazy. BPM of the song.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. That's the nature of Zoom, my friend. Go ahead.
What kind of music what kind of music? Mike and I were trying to find some more of your stuff. What kind of music are you playing?
Yeah, so I make mostly like I guess like pop kind of hip hop stuff for myself. But I've made like, by the nature of owning a studio, you kind of just make whatever comes through your door, unless you're big enough where you get to choose, and it's not me. Yeah, I've worked with like everybody from like folk artists and whatever to rap. A lot of rap artists come through and stuff. But yeah, I usually make like hip hop, pop type stuff. It's usually where my music falls. I used to do a lot of like indie acoustic stuff or whatever over the time, and then just kind of fell into pop music over time. I just really liked the process of like just making a track from scratch and stuff. So that's kind of where I ended up falling into. But yeah.
I have a question. Do you ever try to get your music like trending on TikTok? Is that
So yes and no. So like I'm not adept enough to do that, but like I understand the power of it. So I think with like the new stuff that I do make, I'm gonna try and push that, because, dude, TikTok is nuts. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy the amount of power that app has right now, and like, dude, yeah, it's crazy because like. There's like, let's just put it this way. I'm obsessed right now with TikTok just because of the nature of, I just think it's so creative. Like the people on there it's like Vine 2.0 in a lot of ways. So, really mostly what I follow on TikTok is just like people who make funny sketches and stuff like that. Cause it's just, you get that 1 minute time constraint like you guys are talking about. And it's just perfect for that. You know, it's the same as Vine, but, there were I was talking to my buddy about this. There were so many songs that I've heard on TikTok before I heard it in real life. Like Bella would show me a song, and like she'd be like, she would just play something on her phone. Like, I know this. Why do I know this? And then the hook would come in. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I heard this on TikTok. And to me, that's when I realized how big that platform was, especially for music. Just because, like, if I'm hearing it, if it's breaking there first, like that's insane. You know, like if you're breaking new artists and new songs on TikTok before you're breaking it, like through any other platform like Spotify, YouTube, or any, like, that's nuts to me. Like, yeah. So I think like moving forward as an artist, like that's something I want to focus a lot on, because it just seems like this platform, there's just so much raw potential to like reach people, even if it is Chinese spyware. But you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the pilot actually we're working on. It's like one of the metrics of success for like the main artist is like it's going trending on TikTok. And it's such a weird like feedback loop, because every popular song has a TikTok dance. Yeah. But every song that gets popular through like its TikTok dance or trend or whatever and usage becomes a popular song, Yeah. So it's like this like it's either it starts on TikTok, becomes popular, or it already is popular, and then it just kind of gains even more popularity through like use through TikTok. It's so weird. Yeah, I went through like an 8-month period where I was like on there. I was like just like obsessed with it in the same way, where it's like, this is just crazy. It's like such a weird way to create like stuff. And I was trying to find like mostly like alt comedy. That was kind of the thing I was trying to find more of on there, and sketches. And then I just had a meltdown one day and deleted the app because it just wouldn't. I just so many dance videos, and I was like, I just don't. I saw some tweet. Actually, I only saw Bring It On for the first time back like last Thanksgiving. And there was a tweet where it was like, the dances on TikTok look like the white high school and Bring It On before they like learn dancing from the other high school.
Right.
Like, and it's just like
before they learned how
so
to
accurate. Yeah, before it's like go team, you know, and it's just like it's like not like dancing like you're used to, where it's like a full body movement. It's just like you kind of like move your hands around and then like, which is weird. I think it has a lot to do with like the vertical frame. It's like, because it's not horizontal, you're not moving side to side, you know, and a lot of times you're filming it in your room, so there's no one like operating the camera, you know, so you're just stuck to like this like little skinny area. So you're doing a lot of like vertical and like like Z-axis like motion in TikTok dances.
How much do you guys like actually take into account of that? Because I know you guys are doing some stuff on like Instagram and stuff like that, so that's something that I'm interested in. Like, do you guys like feel like that's kind of coming down the line with some of this stuff, like doing vertical content? Like, you know,
it's funny because it's like it's so powerful. Mike and I have made all this stuff. We've done on Instagram and short films and put a lot of work into it. Yeah. And Mike and I were both playing around with TikTok, and I was like doing a bunch of them, then finally had one go viral, and it was nice. So easy to make. Like you said, it was literally just following a trend in music. And so it was like, it felt like the least amount of effort from stuff we made. Then all of a sudden,
and that was the biggest one.
Someone in Italy is like Instagram messaging me like, oh, funny TikTok. And it's just, so it's like a total powerhouse. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, you went viral. You should, if you're looking for tips on how to go viral, you should talk to Zach.
Definitely.
Was it how many views did it get up to, man?
I think it got like 1.5 million views on TikTok.
Yeah,
it's just so bizarre because it was just like very off the cuff, like this is, and that's what's so interesting about TikTok versus everything else too, is like it's the only platform where everybody kind of joins in on a trend. It's almost like finding the game of a scene. It's like you're finding what's funny, and then everybody's like creating around that, which kind of simplifies the process in a way. And it's fun.
It's almost like collective creative. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a good way to put it, though, where it's like it is like an improv, almost like you find your constraints, right? Like there is like this limit of like, okay, you have a minute or 15 seconds, depending on like what you're trying to do, and then you have like this sound or whatever, and like there are things that you come to expect with that sound, which is so insane to me, that like it's triggering things in your brain. So like the first few seconds of the beat or whatever it is that you're hearing, like notes or whatever, like you're expecting something to happen. So you can trick expectation, or you can go with the expectation, or whatever, depending on what you're going to do to make it happen. But that's a really interesting way to put it, of like an improv type game, of like where it's like you're just trying to like find what works and what. Or
even just like set up punchline. The song almost becomes the setup, and the video just is all punchline. And it just like it almost like is at its best. It can be like this ultra efficient like joke format. You know.
And then you're listening to the song on the radio, like you said, becomes popular later on, and then you see people like doing the dances or like doing the movements from TikTok as it plays on the radio, and you're just like, what is happening?
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy how it's all like. TikTok is like something where it almost doesn't make sense how powerful it is, but it doesn't, like, in a lot of ways, if you really break it down, it doesn't do anything so much better than any of the other platforms. I don't know if that makes sense, but like usually when something breaks through, it doesn't go like that. The platform does something so much better than another platform. Like if it makes videos, but it's not really that much better than YouTube. It's just different. And then you can put videos on Instagram, but like all the elements coming together, the fact that you can pick a backing track, like the amount of different parts that you can put together, I feel like that's what makes it so unique. It's just weird.
There's like an ease of use to it. And I've also like described the user interface almost like a casino. Like where it just as soon as you're in, like you walk in the door and there's bright lights, and it just hits you with like whatever the biggest video of the day is there, number one, which like you're almost guaranteed to at least find it somewhat entertaining because it's like, you know, a million people just liked it. And then it like closes that. You can't see the clock on the top of your screen when you're in the app.
Yes.
You know, like you can't see like what your battery levels at if you're like destroying your battery, like using the app. Mm-hmm. And you just keep going down. All you do is just go on to the next thing. If it doesn't get your attention, just go on to the next thing. It's like your feed just, and then like the algorithm, if you like one thing that has like a certain hashtag or a certain song or whatever trend it's on, if you like that, you're gonna get like 50 more videos like that coming up. But they almost seem to like disperse them just enough that you don't get annoyed with it and like turn it off. You know, it's so whoever's tricky. Like figured that out like is insane because it's like perfectly entertaining without like annoying you or overloading you, and like never letting you get out of it, you know?
Yeah, it's, this may be not at all what you guys wanted to talk about, but I find the algorithm stuff so interesting. And like, and because as a creative, I feel like it's actually like, both in the music world and with what you guys do, I mean, it's so important to understand somewhat how those things work, because I mean, I feel like I'm constantly fighting algorithms, like either, trying to fight it, but like, or make it work for me or whatever it is. And like, there's just, I don't know, there's just so much to it. I feel like learning how to do all that stuff, there's so much to it. And like with Spotify and trending, and like for musical artists, a lot of it comes down to like, now TikTok is a huge player in the game, but even before that was like basically like if you can get on a couple good Spotify playlists, like curated playlists either by a person or by Spotify themselves, like you're gonna do all right. Like you're gonna be able to, and you're not an idiot, you know what I mean, on some level. Like obviously if you just are a one-hit wonder, you're a one-hit wonder, but like if you can consistently make music around the same level of quality and your first couple singles can get on some Spotify playlists, you're probably gonna be okay. Which is kind of a crazy thing to say, but I'm sure it plays with what you guys too, like algorithms and like streaming, and like just the whole field has changed so much.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk your brain off for hours about this, because that's partly what our pilot is about. Is it revolves around this guy who works at a music streaming kind of company,
right? And
he's got a best friend that has a lot of raw talent, who's a musician, and he's seeing, how much can he use the numbers and data to make his best friend a superstar.
Wow.
How much of it is just coincidence? How much of it is analytics? So that's literally what we're exploring right now.
Yeah, it's like, I think, have you ever heard of the term of an industry plant before?
Refresh me, because I'm sure
it's like I think it means a lot, like a different thing to everybody, but like it's a term that got thrown around a lot like in the last few years with certain artists about like authenticity and like who's like a real musician and who's a real artist. But like Billie Eilish got the accusation thrown at her when she got really big last year, that like she was like this person who was plucked out of obscurity by like a record label and like crafted and manufactured as a persona to make music, that kind of thing. And it's a lot, like, on the one hand, like, I mean, for her, like, she clearly, like, the whole story about her like making music with her brother, like it is what it is. But like, throughout history, that's what like the industry has done. Like Elvis or whatever. It's like a black art form of rock and roll, and made it palatable for white America, and other things like that as well. And they're all versions of industry plants. Like the Sex Pistols were like an industry plant. Yeah, and that's kind of what the pilot's about. Is it's this kind of modern form of an industry plant, like a self-made industry plant. Interesting. Where these guys are working, like I said, working at like a major streaming company, and through like data analytics, which is like actually what my job was. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, Zach, but like my job in college, I was at TiVo. Remember TiVo? And skip commercials. Yeah, I was a data quality analyst for TiVo. That was like my college job. So it was like kind of interesting, like seeing like what shows and movies would do well on different streaming platforms. So that was like the job, was like looking at all these different streaming platforms and seeing like what were like kind of their successful stuff was, and what was more used, and how to kind of prioritize the bandwidth for the service. And it was really interesting. And it's funny you talk about the curation of the playlist. There's actually a scene in the pilot where they go to a guy who's kind of like the music curator. He's like this kind of fancy, like kind of elitist music snob who curates these playlists at the company. Oh, that's and they have to convince him to put their artist on the playlist. Yeah, dude, it's so crazy. Like if you don't have someone who can connect you like that or whatever, like it's weird. It's not like, just so you, maybe from my end of like how this stuff works, basically, like the way that I got on anything, I got out a couple playlists, nothing big, but like basically like there's whole sites dedicated to basically you buy certain submission like tickets. It's literally like you buy a certain amount of submission tickets, and like they're a couple bucks each or something like that, and like but then like playlisters or YouTubers or Instagram influencers or whatever have like actual like pages where they go like, I have this much influence, this many followers, this many whatever, and you can choose to submit to each one for a certain amount of tickets, basically.
And like, it was one of those things where like, if they don't respond at all to the one benefit of the platform is if they don't respond at all to you, you get your tickets back. So that was one nice thing as somebody who's buying freaking tickets. But like the other way, but if they respond to you and they just deny you, you lose your tickets. That's how it works. So you just, it's like so crazy that this is the world we live in. But like, that is like, you're vying for space on somebody's influence type thing. And it's like, just to try and break through. And it's odd.
It's like the most like literal form of like gatekeeper I could think of.
Yeah.
Like you're literally giving them a ticket to open the gate and they're like, nah,
it's not think so.
Like you're Dorothy outside like the Emerald City and there's that little guy on the footstool being like, nah, you can't come in.
Yeah. Dude, and I don't even know how they get paid on their end. I mean, I'm sure like whatever, like I forget the platform I was talking about, Submit Hub or something, probably has like some sort of, pay grade for depending on how much of an influencer you are. But so odd, like how, I don't know. It's just odd.
That's so interesting. It's like when we think of today's world, you think there's less gatekeepers now because there's social media and there's other ways to get yourself out. But in a way, now we're kind of like building influences and communities, and there's new gatekeepers and things like that. It sounds like.
Yeah,
almost like the minor gatekeepers. You have not even like the major ones. There's just more gatekeepers now.
A bunch of little ones. A bunch of little ones, and you got to pick the right gate because if you get in the wrong gate, it's like, wow, I spent that money to get into that gate. Like, what is this amusement park? Yeah, dude.
You get behind the walls, you get inside the castle or whatever. Like, this is it. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. This is it, dude. Yeah. I don't know. What an interesting concept to make a short about, though, because it's super relevant to I feel like our time as creatives. Where it's just like, I don't know, like getting
and it came to us kind of organically too, because like I mean, I was just like me and Zach were just like I wanted to do the next thing with Zach, and I was like, what kind of roles do you want to play? We were just out for a walk, and I was just like, what kind of roles do you want to play? I feel like you had never been like really asked like specifically what exactly you wanted to do, because like, you've been told just so much like what positions you could be slotted into, right, as an actor, Zach, right? Like,
right, yeah, versus auditioning, you're typecast and you go out for certain kind of parts. So that was cool. Mike was just like, what character do you want to play? Any of them. And then from there, we kind of, we talked about it for a while before we came to the conclusion that we're like, we want to do this kind of Aaron Sorkin-y kind of higher status, like intelligent world with a lot of jargon. We knew we wanted to hit that kind of environment. And we're like, let's talk about music, because that's something that we really haven't explored as much as we'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Social Network meets like Empire or something like that. It's like the behind the scenes of music, but with that, within the tech context of things.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting. So it's like all the sexiness of like rock and roll and rap and the big music world, and then just like, but also like that the people who are kind of like pushing the buttons behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, if you're trying to do something with jargon, I feel like the music industry is a perfect place to go for something like that, because there's so much stuff. There's so many people who make themselves important in our industry that really are. I mean, it's the same thing with like actors who have like, a manager and an agent and a whatever, and it's like, honestly, I feel like most people are realizing you don't need all of those things, but like, but maybe a couple who actually do their job instead of some who don't. It just depends on what they do and what they don't do, but. There's benefits to all of it, but it's just like there's been so many people that I've run into, at least on I could speak from my end on like music industry, where like I run into certain people, I'm like, what does this guy do? Like, what is he?
Yeah.
Like, I know he's on paper.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
So many in the film industry, it's like a lot of like,
yeah,
with quotes, producers, and you're like, what is this guy?
Dude, and like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm a small fry. Like, I'm super small fry over there. Like, so I hate even saying that, because like I probably don't even deserve the paycheck I get, but at times, but like, it's just one of those where it's like, it's one thing if you're like learning and you don't know what you're doing yet, like me, where I'm like trying to figure it out and like I'm finding where I fit in this crazy world. And then there's also, but it's like, it's like literally like you said, like producers, it's like, are you though? Yeah. Like, I feel like you're just kind of hanging out. Like, I don't know.
Because it's like the most important job in a lot of ways. Like, you're the one organizing everything, but like, you usually have like one or two who are like really on like, who are like the heart of the project. And then sometimes, depending on, sometimes with these weird, I don't know how to explain them, just like small films that just all of a sudden have someone attached. Like, who is this? But it's a weird market. It's like sometimes that person, even though you don't see them doing anything, like they're the reason it got made, just because they had their name or they knew the right person. And that's it's like a miracle anytime any project gets finished. You know, I mean, we had that one we did a short last year that like I was really proud of, and then like my hard drive broke. And I just saved up enough money recently finally to get it fixed. Yeah, so we're gonna get this thing recovered. But
nice.
Like it was like some of Zach's best work too. I was
at
like,
least
man,
you can get it.
Oh,
that's the worst when it just disappears into the ether. Like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But at least you can get it back. That's
it's gonna cost a little money, but
Mike and I are ready now. We both have recently built computers. We've got our hard drives. There's no way our next thing's gonna disappear.
Crash and roll. Good. We have backups on backups. We can afford the backups now, which is good. You know?
Yes, dude. Yeah, that's everything, dude. I've seen people just get like kicked out of the studio because they had lost whatever file it is. Like it's just you're fired. Like that's like it's just so nuts. But it's like file management. I remember that was like one of the first things I learned when I was working at a studio. Like basically, like I thought I was gonna learn all this like super important like just how you run mics and all this stuff, and literally like the first lesson that like my mentor at the time taught me, he basically just goes like, he's like, know where you put everything, like be hyper, and I wasn't like that before this, but now I'm super anal about where I put my files and stuff. I'm not saying you guys aren't, but like just when he told me that, because he basically goes like, people just have gotten fired for less, basically, like, and it was just like, oh, okay, got it. And like from that day on, I was just like, all right, like hyper anal, like, but it's tough, dude.
That's why there's certain jobs on every set dedicated to just that, making sure everything gets transferred over and
just like data management,
compatibility, and exactly. Yeah, because you could just like update something, and all of a sudden now you're like whatever you were using before just doesn't work, like just gone. Yeah. So it's like so easy to do that now. And it's like, yeah, man, it's like those people who like, you know, those people on sets who are like historians who like make sure something's like accurate like over time. Like that's their only job, is just to make sure that there's no like continuity errors or whatever, like or stuff like that. It's like there's people who do that, like continuity errors, but just for the digital world now, like just making sure like everything's gonna talk to each other and like be okay, and like dude, it's crazy. But
that's fine. I mean, every aspect of technology is changing. Even like you know, we're on Zoom now, and Mike and I have been talking about we want to do a Zoom table read just when our pilot's done, just so we can kind of hear the flow and everything. And we're also getting mild anxiety because we're like, are people going to laugh or like this part, or is it just a tech issue? Like, what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah, just a slight delay. That's interesting too, because I've seen comedians even try. It's such a weird new world thing where it's like I've seen comedy is something hard to. When you film it all and you have control of the editing and timing, like the way you guys are doing it, like once you get to the end stage, that will. You know it's going to work because you can play test it. You can show somebody and they laugh or they don't, or they like could give you some sort of feedback. But like you said, like until you get to that point, like I've seen comedians try and do stand up and stuff like via Zoom, and it's just like so bizarre to see that, because it's like it has a give and take. And like you said, like if you're not getting that like in the room, it's such a weird like static through the air type thing that it's hard to tell. But
yeah. It changes the energy immediately when you're doing it virtual. So we'll have to see kind of how we feel that out.
Yeah.
Have you done any recording or I don't know, jam sessions, any kind of like virtual recording?
Mostly just this, but honestly, like as far as music, I've been able to get a couple buddies in here to make stuff, but personally, I just don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do because like especially just like if there's a slight delay in timing on like music, it just sounds terrible. It's just
you can hear it.
It's like similar with comedy, where it's like, you know, like if the timing's off for the setup punchline, it's just like it's not gonna work. But it's same thing with
I mean,
music.
you can kind of fluff it in comedy, but music is like rhythm is like the whole thing.
Yeah, if your bass line's out with the kick drum, it's just not gonna work. But I don't know, man. I might have to start figuring some of that out, because it doesn't seem like we're letting up anytime soon. So we'll see.
We're hanging out.
Hey.
Yeah, but I wanted to maybe briefly get back to some of that, like that industry plant thing, though, because I feel like one thing that I thought was interesting as you were saying that was, I feel like a lot of people want to talk about how like this time is so different than it used to be before. And that's true. I even said that like maybe a few minutes ago. Like the world is changing so much so fast. Like in a lot of ways we have a lot more control over like what we can put out. And honestly, like obviously algorithms exist, but if your stuff's really good, you know, you have the chance to win the lottery of algorithms, and like maybe enough people like it and it breaks through, and you don't really need management and things like that on some levels, right? But like when you're talking about like industry plant and stuff like that, or like people who are like propped up and whatever, I don't really know about Billie Eilish, but maybe yes, maybe no. I haven't really looked into her story too much, but like you said, like that's happened so much over time. Like even like that happens now in the sense of like you could just build this whole story like Billie Eilish, who makes beats in her closet with her brother and like all this stuff, like, and like that's her story and it sells, right? The story sells, but like that's been going on since like freaking like Led Zeppelin days. Like they have all these like, myths about like what, you know, what they are and what goes on in the studio when they're there, and like all this stuff about like, or like Ozzy, like he used to bite the heads off bats. It's like that's not real, that's stage performance. But like things like that, where it's like you sell that Prince of Darkness mentality, even though like he's not like that behind the scenes.
Right, or like the Spice Girls were like, they would never know each other before they became the Spice Girls. They like were responding to like an ad.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was reading about it. Yeah, they responded. It was like this podcast I listened to, like Pump Up the Jam. They were talking about "Wannabe," right? That's the big Spice Girls song.
Yeah,
and I didn't know anything about the Spice Girls before that, amazing. and it was like an advertisement, like in a local, like London or, you know, somewhere in the UK. It was like, do you like to have fun? Do you like to dance and sing? You know, do you have attitude or whatever? You know, like respond to this ad, and we know we're doing. They did like tryouts.
Oh,
and then they like cast the Spice Girls.
That's amazing. It's amazing that they like already had the concept, and we're just like, we just got to find people who fit the roles. Like it's literally like acting at that point. It's not even.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think that's like
marketing.
That's like the generational thing too. Is like you look at something like, you know, like rock and roll or like grunge, and everyone's like, man, those guys are just so real, you know. And it's like they were all like on record labels, like they all like put records out, you know, like people were making sure those, like, you know, that Smells Like Teen Spirit was in the right place at the right time, you know.
Yep.
I love that video, you know, but like there's a very good reason that you don't see Kurt Cobain's, like there's a reason his hair is covering his face and you're seeing certain angles of his face. It's like the mystery and the sex appeal. They're building an iconography and a mythology with that. You know, it's not like this, you know, like I remember I had this really just great discussion about like cinema verite. It's like it's like cinema of truth. It's like a handheld documentary style. There was this guy talking to me about it, and he was like, you know, even that though is an aesthetic choice. Even though you're trying to make things the most realistic or the most honest, it's still a choice you're making as either a filmmaker or like in music as an artist. You know, like Bob Dylan, it's not his real name. You know, that's a created persona. You know, Bruce Springsteen even talks about it. You know, he's like, I never worked in a factory. I was a musician when I was like 17. Like,
that's
you know, he was like a hit like singer songwriter by 20. You know, like
wow. Yeah,
you know, I love. Oh
no,
okay, I was just saying, oh yeah, no, I love that, and that's kind of what we're talking about too in our story. What we're having so much fun playing with is like facades and these false perceptions. Like we even created a music curator character who's coming up with all of these different hot playlists, and everybody assumes he's like got this badass image, you know. And then we meet him, and he's this nerdy guy with wiry glasses. You know, and so it's playing with all of this idea of what's created for a person versus what are they really like.
Yeah, and I think there's like the generational thing I was talking about. It's like I think like we're kind of like in the post-reality TV era where we just like know it's all fake. You know, like there's that whole idea of like everyone has like 5 side hustles now, and so everyone's, you know, uses social media to like self-promote things that like. At the end of the day, no one really cares like how you got famous. Like everyone just cares if they like the music or they like the movie or whatever it is. You know, there's always going to be people who like, you know, have a problem with that, and like authenticity is important. Like, but it's like, like a lot of these people are child stars, you know, who or, like become famous later on or something like that. Like, they knew somebody or like, you know, someone's nephew or whatever. But in Billie Eilish's defense, I think she just had like a hit song. What was it, Ocean Eyes? When she was like 14. She got signed to like Paradigm, and you know, did
Good for her.
good work, and
I hate
everyone
when people hate on
obviously
that.
responded to the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you though. It's like I that's one of the reasons why I started doing pop music, because I used to do like this indie whatever, and like I always just thought. I mean, I'm still indie, obviously. I'm independent. That's what that means. But I mean, like I always hated, and this is eventually why I got into pop music, because I just like reaching people and like telling stories through music, and like I don't really care. Like I like that it just reaches people, but like. I agree with you. Like, maybe if this is what you're saying, but like, I hate when people like hate on people for being successful, or like when people say, like, "Oh, cat's out of the bag, they're not going to be good anymore." It's like, why? Like, they're still making the same music that you like, or whatever. I do think that like meaning matters on some level. Like, I think that like, you know, I don't know. Like you said, like it doesn't matter so much how you got there, as long as like it wasn't for some terrible like effed up reason or something. But like,
Yeah.
But like, and I think that the meaning of the art that you're making matters. Like if you're making some sort of like music or film or something that like, even if it just makes people laugh or whatever, makes people look at it a different way, or if you're making music that's like, you know, my old English teacher used to call it like sorbet. Like there's really rich like art in this world where it's like you need like I don't know, like Van Gogh or something, where it's like, oh, there's so many things to it or whatever. And then there's like sorbet, like, which is just something that's like kind of nice and like just not, I don't know. I'm trying to like Katy Perry. Like
Right.
she's sorbet.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's not something that's like, it's not so rich. It's not like, wow, there's so much. It's there to entertain you for a little bit, and it cleans your palate and you're enjoying it, and it's fine. And that's okay too. Like to like both things is okay. And I don't know.
And even like artists who generally do more like, you know, truthful work or whatever can still like operate in the Hallmark card space, you know, like, I don't know. You guys like, I like John Legend, but that song All of Me that was like everywhere in like 2013 or 2014, hated that song.
Me too.
Like, it was just like, it just felt like the most Hallmark card love song. And like, no offense to John Legend, like I said, I like his music, you know, but I just was like, man, that song was just not for me. And I was like, you just respond to it or you don't, you know, that's kind of, at the end of the day. It's funny to talk about like it's all about like trying to reach more people.
Sure.
And like I think that was one of the things, like we posted those Instagram stuff, like those Instagram shorts on Zach's Instagram, and like I think they're like, you know, we got some good views, we got some good, you know, positive feedback. But it was, you know, mostly just seeing like friends of ours, people we've met, like, you know, doing different things. And but then you posted them on TikTok, right? And they got like 5 times as many views on TikTok, right? Which was always felt great. You're just like, there's more people see it, you know.
That's the point.
And it's like it gives it a whole different audience, which is so interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm always interested by like artists like musically, like we're talking about that start in pop and then switch over to country or a different genre. You know, that's something we were talking about too. It's like, is that, do people, when they face like backlash or people don't like when they switch to country, is that because their essence isn't there anymore, or is it because they started as pop and that's what people are used to?
Right. Yeah. The reasons behind it are because, like, I mean, like a good example of that is Taylor Swift. I mean, everybody hated on her when she came out with, I think it was like the Red album or something. When like it was one of those things where she was super country before that, and then like she came out with the Red album and it like had a lot of pop hits, and like there was a mandolin deep in the back. Right, there's like somewhere deep in the back. There's like two little plucks on a mandolin, and then
is that the one with "I Knew You Were Trouble"?
Yes, yeah. I
love that song. Right. That's like a perfect pop song. But
Me too. Love it. I don't hate on her. Like she's formulaic, but she's great. Like that doesn't make it bad. It just means it's just she found what works for her, and it's great. But like, yeah, man, I don't like. Gosh, where I was going with that. Oh, but but people hated on her because she was still winning like CMAs, like Country Music Awards, and it's like this isn't really country anymore. But that's why I've always found genres kind of silly, where it's like you can cowboy hold me if you want, like if you put me on your country playlist, great, like I don't care. But like if I'm gonna make whatever, like she's at a point where she just want to make whatever she wants to make. Like what if you're gonna give me the award, you gave me the award. Like it's not like her fault for making something new, you know, and it worked, obviously. She's freaking the biggest star. On
she's
the
doing fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Not worried about her.
Yeah, man. It's just, it's interesting, all that stuff. Like how the making of an artist, I don't know.
Well, it's also like, different artists are like almost like allowed to change up styles. Like, you know, look at David Bowie in like every album. Every like 2 albums. Like there's a completely different persona he was doing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like another artist, when they change, everyone's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And I guess it just depends on if it works or not. Some people just, they just are better at different genres than others. But
yeah,
I also think it's interesting, like how, artists, especially people like nowadays, where it's like, the Renaissance person is such a thing where you're not just an actor. You're not just like, like a singer. You're not just like a filmmaker or whatever. You're everything,
Yeah.
Like you're always like, and I think that goes for everybody. Like I've acted in stuff before, but I'm not like, I wouldn't consider myself like a real actor like Zach is,
Sure.
But there is like that. Yeah, thanks, bud. And it is like, it's weird how we like allow certain things. So like when like a singer is like in a movie, we love it. Like Eminem and 8 Mile. Everyone's like, man, that's awesome.
But when Drake tried to rap, everyone freaked out. Right?
Yeah, or like even like Justin Timberlake being in things, even though he kind of started out as like more of like a actor slash like was like a Mickey Mouse Club or something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But when he's like in a movie, you're like, oh man, there's pop stars in a movie. That's crazy.
Yeah, like Social Network.
Sorry.
No, like Social Network. I was just like trying to think of something he was in. I was like, yep, the Social Network. He did a really good job in that. I thought
he's amazing in that movie.
Yeah,
he's so well cast in that too. I've been rewatching the movie, like it was on Netflix for the last like 4 months, and I rewatch it like at least once a month. Yeah, it's just like one of the go-tos, and he's such good casting in that too, because he also just like looks like the more like mainstream cool version of Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Like Jesse Eisenberg probably looks at him like, oh, that's what like the cool guy.
He looks like a cool Mark Zuckerberg. Like, but Jesse Eisenberg, it's like,
and I think part of that is totally, it's like, as people transition, a big part of it does come down to talent and their skill. And Justin Timberlake is a good actor. Yeah, I mean, he knows what he's doing. He was cast really well, and so of course we loved him in it.
Yeah.
Well, that's also too is like I think we're more accepting of like musicians going to acting, but like no one wants to hear like an actor like sing. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like put out an album, really, for the most part, unless you're like a big fan of that person. Like, I mean, like I like Jeremy Renner a lot. Love his movies, Twin River, he's great in, and everyone likes Hawkeye in the Marvel movies. Yes, or some people just shit on him too because he's just the guy with the bow and arrow. But like, whatever. But he's consistent, I'm never gonna listen to his like rock group. I'm gonna tell you right now, like I will never like go out of my way to like listen to his like rock album. Yeah, Jeremy Renner. Well, I know he's a big fan of the pod, so I don't want to.
I sent you my recent single right before this. Just go ahead and don't open that. It's fine.
I'll just delete that. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Amazing.
Well, I mean, everyone has like a SoundCloud rap album, right? Not just me, right?
Yeah, man, dude. I'm doing monologues by myself with this camera all the time. I'm just in this room, just really giving my heart out. Well, we're getting close to time. I know. I just want to be respectful of that because we're at like 1:15. I know you guys. One of you guys had to take off soon, so I just don't want to cut you short because I'm actually really enjoying this. But
thanks, man. But we'll have to continue talking in the future for sure.
Yeah, man. I'd love to have you guys back on. But yeah, it's just to cap maybe the thought that we're talking about. It's so interesting, like what we're willing to like accept and what we're not willing to like accept. And I think you're right. Like it all just comes down to quality at the end of the day. And like if it's something you like it. Like I've never understood why people like want to like I think I used to kind of be this way, but I've grown out of it because I'm so freaking enlightened now. It's amazing. Just kidding. But but like I've never understood if you like something, you like something. Just like it. It's okay to like it. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the same with the generational thing. It's like it's like I feel like we like it's like in a post reality show world where we see like we know what all like the workings are like or even like social media like 9-year-olds if they like said something mean at school. They'll like, go home and they'll craft their apology letter on Facebook, wow. Everyone kind of lives in the world of celebrity, like a minor celebrity in their own way almost,
Yeah.
In like a way you just never had to or would even have to think about before.
Main character in your own movie.
Because of that, like they understand the difference between like persona and like, what like a true person's thing is, like, you watch a star do a performance or whatever. And like, there's all the glitz and the glamour and all that. And it's either there's something there truthfully in that person or there's not, like when you watch an actor act or a singer sing or a musician play, it's like either they're feeling that thing or they're or they're just good at it technically, and I think that difference is really important, between like what we actually consider genuinely authentic now versus like, the aesthetics of authenticity,
Yep. Yeah. And you can from my limited experience, I feel like the people who have most long-term longevity, like everybody has their story. Everybody has their brand story, right? You're full of shit if you don't. If you say you don't have a brand story, you have a brand. I have a brand story, okay? But like everybody's got that in this day and age. Like you're saying, like 9-year-olds are friggin' doing it. But I think that the people I've personally found to be the most successful or like enjoyable, like even in their mega startup, are people who their brand story is as close to them as they can. You know what I mean? As close to their
It's like a heightened version. It's like it's there, but it's like
exactly.
It's a little bit embellished or it's a little bit heightened, but the essence is still there.
Right.
Yeah, it's the the man versus the myth.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like, cause if you meet that guy and he's not the way that is, it's like, I mean, within reason, there's always like, I mean, obviously everything has their exceptions, right? Like if you met Marilyn Manson, he was a sweetheart, you would be like, okay with that because obviously you don't want him to be a crazy Prince Darkness, you know, when you meet him, if you're a fan, you want him to be a nice guy.
Right.
But like, yeah, I don't know. Like you were talking about Nirvana earlier, like Dave. Genuinely that person. He's from the limited experience that I know of him, like he's that guy. Like he's that guy in interviews, but he's also that guy like behind closed doors. Like it's just he's that guy. He's nice. Like he's just he's a nice bro who like didn't grow up because he didn't have to, and that's great. Like that's awesome. Like that's kind of the dream, you know what I mean? So like that's so cool. That's cool, man. But yeah, shoot, I don't know. I would love to keep going with you guys, but I want to make sure you have time to plug anything that you're working on right now because we're coming up just on an hour, and I know one of you has to take off to either work or something, and I want to make sure we have time for that. Is there anything that you guys want to say before we wrap it, or?
Well, Mike, do we have anything to plug? Or we can...
I mean, the big thing is the pilot we're looking forward to. You know, hopefully we'll shoot a short with it when ever COVID's over.
Great.
Right now, I have a bunch of filmmaker friends who all live in one apartment out here, so like
Amazing.
That's sort of the people I'm back in Massachusetts, by the way, right now. That's the secret. It's the big reveal. But so occasionally I'll just drop by with them and we'll work on stuff together, which is kind of fun. It's like the perfect situation for considering a pandemic to still be able to kind of make some filmed content.
Right. Still be creative through everything going on.
Short films. Yeah. Do something.
Yeah. If I can keep up with TikTok, I'll try to get back on that viral train.
100%.
Got to find the right tunes.
Yeah,
so
dude.
Check out the Instagram, TikTok.
For sure. And obviously, I didn't say this before, but I'm going to link everything below in descriptions and stuff like that. So you guys can send me whatever you want linked down there. And stuff.
Cool. So. People can see all the like photos of me smiling next to people, or I guess not anymore. I guess there's no more.
Only chest up. Only chest up.
Yeah, only chest up.
Right. You're not wearing pants in any of the photos. It's...
And they're like, I know how to cast this guy.
And you're holding
very tight.
Yeah, you're holding a football helmet under your left arm, and all the
right,
as you direct.
Yeah,
I'm just like I'm practicing by just like shoving my brother's head in the toilet right now. Just like...
Shoving your brother. That's good, man. Dude, I could keep going. Yeah. I'm gonna have to have you guys back on because this was fun, and
we'd love to.
Great.
Yeah, and especially maybe when the pilot's a little bit more fleshed out, that'd be awesome because I find what you guys are writing about really interesting. So we'll link up.
Yeah, do you want to take a look at it because we're coming close to the point we're going to start sharing it with people.
100%, dude. You have my email, and then on my email is my number, and so send anything my way and save my number. Shoot me a text. Text is usually the best way to reach. Hang on. I'm gonna end the podcast right now before we get it. Say my number on it.
Tell your number, your social security number. Your whole thing right now.
Thank you guys for both
What's
coming
your
on.
PIN for your credit card? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Once more. Repeating. Try that again.